War Museum keeps Hitler's car. Jack Granatstein, director of the Canadian War Museum, has abandoned the idea of selling a black bulletproof Mercedes limousine that once belonged to Adolf Hitler. CBC News, February 8, 2000. 1 week after he argued that displaying the car gave the wrong image and glamorized Nazism, Granatstein decided not to get rid of it. He had guessed the car might bring $20 million at an auction, money he said would help build a new museum. But a spate of angry calls and emails from the public forced him to abandon the idea. He now says selling the car would fly in the face of public opinion. Now, I was there when this was on TV, CBC News World. I was getting ready to go out, and they said, let's open up the calls to people who want to have an opinion, because he wanted to get rid of the exhibit because it showed Hitler's car all shined up with some powerful dummies. And he said, I don't want a slick and glamorous image of an evil man. We should show how bad it is. And it's just offensive to me as Jack Granatstein. So about 6 calls came in, and they were all men saying, don't get rid of it. It's ours. Keep it. We want it. We got it. It looks good. It's our exhibit. Don't just start dismantling it just to auction it off. And they all said no. And so she, the blonde lady at the time, she said to him, what do you think of that? Like, most Canadians don't want you to sell it off. And he said, he used the word narco. What is that? You know, when you love dead people? Narco something? Necrophile. That's what he did. He said necrophile. So I called in. And I said, and they said, well, it's almost at the end of the show. We probably won't have you on, but what were you going to say? And I said, he said it's a slick and glamorous image of an evil man. And they said, yeah. And I said, well, isn't it that slick and glamorous image that put him in power and held him in power in the first place? And wasn't that the point of any museum exhibit? And if we just start getting rid of stuff that he doesn't like, that shows Hitler's car is so shiny and the dummies in beautiful outfits that were really powerful looking, when you get rid of that, isn't that a disjointed view of history? They cut me off and they said, we want to actually put you on air. And so I was on air. I was the only female, and I was the only West Coast person that called in. And they said, what do you think of this? So I said I repeated what he said. It's a slick and glamorous image of an evil man. And he said, yeah. They said, yeah. And I said, well, isn't that what we need to learn from history? That slick and glamorous images are what put people in power in the first place? And he's like, it was just, he's a horrible person. Like, he just sputtered. They said, what do you have to answer that? How do you answer that question? Isn't that the point of the exhibit in the first place? And he's like, no, he was very evil, very evil, very evil. That was it. This is a guy who's got some kind of PhDs in World War II. And here I am, a fucking nobody. And I zinged him. And then what happened was, the next day I looked at the newspaper and they said, oh, he's going to keep it because people were so angry. We were not angry. No one was angry. Everybody was just normal. There was no angry calls. That's a lie. Now I'm angry because these people are still, no one fired them. They just actually got a kickback from the government and built a new war memorial and museum. So it's there, Ottawa. Okay? This happened in the year 2000, right before 9/11, that I remember this call. And I wasn't planning to phone in. I didn't want to phone in. But when he called us necrophiliacs, that's when I called in. And guess what? You'll never find that footage.